Okay, stop the music. Here we go. Good morning. Let me change the camera over to me. After all, that's why we're here. Me, right? No, I'm just kidding. We are here to learn today. We're doing rhythm practice number 5. So we're just kind of building on what we did last time, where we did the time signature 3/4, and we just talked about some basic rhythms, including ties and eighth notes, things like that. So we're getting a little more complicated now. But let's just try it out. If you can't hear me, please let me know. And if you feel like saying hello, feel free. But if you don't want to, that is totally fine with me. So we're just going to get started here. Okay, there's what we did last night when we met. Let's take a look at what we have going on today. So let me make sure I got the right pen, and I do not. I have the blue one. Here we go. So we're in 3/4. Remember the difference between 3/4 and 4/4 is really one beat. In 4/4, you have 4 beats in a measure, meaning the distance between every one of those vertical lines, that little boxes. 4 of those fit in there, but with 3/4, only 3 of them fit in there. So you just have to be careful not to have too many notes. How about that first note? Do we have the correct amount of beats in that measure? Well, no, right? Since a whole note would get 4, and we can only have 3. So no whole notes in 3/4. Now you may be saying, well, Tim, what if I wanted to hold a beat for 4 beats? Is there any possible way to do that? And there is. That's what we talked about before, where you have 3 beats over here, and you're going to connect them with a tie. And there we go. That's all there really is to that. So you have 3 plus 1, and then over in this measure, how many beats do we have remaining? Well, if we have 3, and 1 is taken up, then we have 2 remaining, right? So you can have, what kind of notes can we put in here? We can put a half note, but what else? What other do we have? Oh, you can put 2 more quarter notes, right? Or put 4 of what kind? What do you think? Feel free to leave it in the comments. Hopefully, doesn't like that one. There we go. So you can replace it with 4 eighth notes. So you have here, let's count out these 2 measures. And then in a second, I'll check back with the chat. So you have 1, 2, 3, right? That's all that dotted half is going to take up. And then we have beat 4 here, right? No, it goes over, resets to beat 1 because we're in a new measure. And there's only 3 beats per measure. So you have 1, and then you have 2, and then how am I going to count this last group of eighth notes? Well, it's going to be 3 and, right? So now we have to consider that we are tying together all the first 4 beats, basically, the first 3 beats, and then the first beat of the next measure. So this measure is going to be counted as this very first one is going to be very long. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, and. So one more time, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, and. Just like that. Let me check back to see how everybody is doing this morning. Still one person with us. Very good, though. All right, so if you have any questions, let me know if anything is not working correctly. I forgot to check the stream. It's working great, actually, so good. It seems like it is. That's not the one. Oh, man, I'm all mixed up. Here we go. Perfect. Okay, so what we're going to do now is some things that are a little different. So just give me a chance here. So let's do this. So the first question is, do I have the correct amount of beats in this measure? I'll give you a second to figure it out. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so I gave you time to figure it out. Sorry, I got allergies a little bit this morning. So let's chart it out and see what we got. So we have 1, and what beat is this going to hit on? 2, right? And is this last one going to be beat 3? Well, no, because the eighth note only takes up half a beat. So it only takes up the first half of beat 2. We still need the second half of beat 2. And is that quarter note only going to take up and? Well, no, it's a quarter note, right? It takes up 2 halves of a beat. So really it needs to take up and 3. That's what the quarter note's going to be. And actually, we're missing the other half of beat 3. We actually need another eighth note. Let me draw it correctly. Here we go. And there we go. It has shifted all of my beat numbers over, though. So let me redraw 1 and 2 and 3 and. So it's going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and. So a little bit of a kind of a, I don't know, I was going to say dance beat, but 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. So I just did it 3 times over there. So let me just check how everybody is doing today. Okay, looks like everything's still great. Wonderful. Okay, here we go. I love when the stream is working well. At least I hope it is on your end. Here we go. All right. I don't know how it's going to like that. Ooh, it did. Okay. Oh, it did not like this one. Oh, it didn't even like that first one. There we go. All right. Now we're all set. Now I can change it a little bit. Here we go. All right. So now for the second measure right here, do we have the correct number of beats in this measure? Well, let's take a look. We have beat 1 here. And then remember that because that's only an eighth note, the next beat has to be and. It's going to take up and 2 because that quarter note takes up 2 halves of a beat. And then you have and here, and then 3 and, right? So you have 1 and 2 and 3 and. Should look familiar, very close to what we had before. Now we have to figure out the first one, which is actually easier. You have beats 1, 2, right? 3. Now the one thing you have to keep in mind is when you're counting single beats, you have to be counting them half as fast as you did the eighth notes. So instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and, it's just going to be 1, 2, 3. You don't want to go 1, 2, 3, counting them at the same rate as you do the eighth notes, because that'll mess everything up. So here's how to count this one for real. Let me get both of these measures in here. There we go. So this one's going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, and 2, and 3, and. So I'll count a little faster this time. 1, 2, 3, 1, and 2, and 3, and. You always want to count as evenly as possible. If you notice, I sped up just a little bit there. So you always want to be going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. You always kind of probably want to start out each rhythm counting like the measure as quarter notes. So if you had 4, 4, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That'll help you set a steady beat, and then what you want to do after that is count the eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. It'll give you an idea on how fast the eighth notes need to be for the quarter notes. So just a little tip for you there. Okay, let me check back, see if anybody is on. Ooh, hello, more people are on. Rich again has joined us. Hello, Rich. Good to have you. I've seen you in the chat quite a few times now. All right, back to learning. That's why we're here. Okay, here we go. Let me think about what to do next, what kind of rhythm we want to try out. Oh, we haven't done anything with rests in a while. Let's do that. That sounds great. By the way, there is an eighth rest. Let's talk about that. Introducing the eighth rest. So you have, make sure that works. Good. Now, this is the eighth rest. Like the eighth note, gets half a beat, but you don't play for that amount. So the first question I have for us is, do I have the correct amount of beats in this measure? So I'll give you a chance to think about it just for a second. The answer is yes. So let's chart out the beats. We got 1 here, we got and here, and then we have 2, 3. So it's going to be counted as this first note. It's going to be really quick. 1 and. You're already going to be off of that note if you're playing it on a piano, or even if you're clapping. You want to come right off of it 1 and 2, 3. 1 and 2, 3. So it's almost like I had two eighth notes there. That would be 1 and 2, 3. But the second one I'm just cutting out. So 1 and 2, 3. Okay, everybody good so far? Let me check. Always want to make sure the stream is doing well. It is good. Doing really good this morning. Last night the stream was not good and I had to redo things a bunch. Let's see here. I think I'm on the... There we go. Okay, here we go. We're going to do some more practice. Let's start out with a rest. We're going to live dangerously this morning. Now, do I have the correct amount of beats per that measure? Well, I do. Let's chart them out. I'll show you. So now we have beat 1. And keep in mind, when I count beat 1, I'm not going to clap because we have a rest. And then this is and, right? Since the eighth note only takes up half of a beat. And we still need the second half of that beat. So now and then we have 2. And then the last one is going to be 3 and. Let me draw the and a little bit better. There we go. So it's going to go 1 and 2, 3 and. So 1 and 2, 3 and. One more time. 1 and 2, 3 and. One more time. 1 and 2, 3 and. So just keep in mind that I'm going to count 1, no clap, and then and 2, 3 and. Keep in mind that beat 2 has to be twice as long as 3 and, or the eighth notes. Okay, any questions so far? How is everybody doing? We're just going to move on to probably 1 or 2 more examples for this morning, and then next time, I don't know, we'll kind of figure out when I might be able to meet again, and we'll go from there. Won't be tonight. I think the next time, if you're listening, that we'll meet will be tomorrow morning at around the same time, around 8:30. Sometimes I'll be able to get there right at 8:30, sometimes maybe a couple minutes later, but probably between 8:30 and 8:45 in the morning is when you can expect these on most days. Not every day. Monday I can't do it, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday I can't do it. Friday I can do it. So Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for right now, and then maybe a little bit on Saturday. But the next time we'll meet will be tomorrow and around the same time if you want to come in. So let's do, I don't want to talk too long, not why we're here. Well, I guess I do have to talk, right? I have to teach you and help go over the stuff together. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to do, you can tell I like this rhythm. So do I have the correct amount of beats here? Well, yeah, right. I clearly have 2 beats in the middle, so that's 2, and then you have half of a beat on each side. That equals 3. But let's chart it out. You got 1. Now is this going to be beat 2? This quarter note? No, it's going to be beat and. It's actually going to take up and 2 because it's a quarter note. It has to take up 2 halves. And then this one's going to be 3, right? No, because we only took up the first half of beat 2. That has to be and 3. That's going to take up. And these are tied, so we're going to tie these together. And then we have and. So let me try this out. 1 and 2 and 3 and. So 1 and 2 and 3 and. So I'm really only hitting like three notes. You go 1 and 2 and 3 and. So you hit right on beat 1, you hit again on and then you don't hit again until the and of 3. So 1 and 2 and 3 and. Just like that. Okay, last one for today. Let me check to see how everybody is holding out today. Is there some place where I can get proper fingerings for major and minor scales? Yes, there are universal fingerings. I will answer your question in just a second. So let me finish out this last example here, and then I'll kind of finish up the lesson, then I'll get to your question. So let's just do one final one for today. Okay, now that's too easy, right? That's just 1 and 2 and 3 and. Let's do this. Oops, wrong one. Here we go. There we go. So now we still have 1 and 2 and 3, and I'll chart that out for us. But we have to make sure we tie together these two little bits. So it's going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and. So 1 and 2 and 3 and. Keep in mind that we're holding over, the second half of the beat to the first half of the beat. Remember that from last night. We can do that. And yeah, so we'll stop here today. Next time I think we'll do 2/4 time signature. Do like maybe a couple lessons of that, and then there will be other practices, by the way. So not just rhythm practice. I think note reading practice I'll continue with. I just wanted to do these rhythm ones just to kind of get into a rhythm with these live streams and just kind of figure them out. I think this is pretty good material to put out there for that. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you for attending our class today. It's wonderful to have you all here on the channel. I love helping everybody out there, and if you ever have any questions, you can leave them in the comments, and I'd love to answer them for you. So now I will get to Rich's question. So I'm basically going to end the main lesson part here. You may actually still learn something from me answering Rich's question, so you may want to stick around, but the actual rhythm portion is finished for today. So let me go over Rich's question one more time, and it was, is there a place where I can get the proper fingerings for major and minor scales? And the answer is yes, but let me look it up because I don't have like a single website, but I know you can find them. Just going to type in scale fingerings piano. I know there's a great site with all of them, but I don't remember if it's this one. So there's the C major scale. If you go over here, it says piano major scales, and here you go. Okay, so you want to go to pianoscales.org, and then on the side you can click on the different types of scales you want. They even looks like they have blues scales and jazz scales, and they highlight the notes you want to press as well as the fingerings below. Let me enlarge this for you so we can see it together. And I will post this link in the comments in just a second. So you can see here it just highlights what notes you'll be playing, along with the fingerings for the right hand and the left hand. So if you're interested in that, in figuring out all these fingerings, you go to pianoscales.org, and that should help sort you out. Now, doing 2 octave scales is a little bit tricky. There are fingerings for those as well, but I just recommend starting out with the 1 octave for now. So Rich, let me know if that answered your question. I hope so. If it did, we'll probably wrap up here in a minute, but I'll just give you a second. Okay, looks like, yeah, I'm not sure how much of a lag we have on their end, but those are where you can find the scale fingerings, pianoscales.org. Check it out. So I'm just going to end it here right now. I'll give it maybe one more minute just for any last minute